This is my fourth lecture, Advanced Spectroscopic Techniques, UV Visible Spectroscopy. And in the first three lectures, we had just gone through the basics of the UV visible spectroscopy. And today we will go towards the convention and terminologies used in UV and visible spectroscopy. The first term which is used very is chromophore. Chromophore means chromo means color, and as the name suggests, it is responsible for the color in the solution. And chromophore is nothing but it is a covalently unsaturated group which is responsible for electronic absorption, and this chromophore will give or assign a particular value or lambda max to the substance. A chromophore group is a functional group and it is not conjugated with any other group, and it exhibits a characteristics absorption. Characteristics absorption means once we are aware of the lambda max, we can get the knowledge about what particular compound is present in the solution. So chromophore is very important, and by the help of chromophore we can determine that what substance is present in the unknown solution. And here we will give some examples. The basic examples of chromophore are C double bond C, that is carbon carbon double bond, then a carbonyl group, then ester, then amides, and then nitro group. All these are chromophores, and these chromophores will always have a certain lambda max value. And once we have determined the lambda max value, we can identify the particular functional group. If any of the simple chromophore is conjugated with another or the same type of or the different type of multiple chromophore, then what will happen? The lambda max will increase. The increase or decrease, it will depend upon the conjugation or the type of the substituent which is added to it. So a chromophore can be conjugated with other group also, and because of this conjugation there will be a increase or decrease in the lambda max value. So when a particular chromophore is conjugated, the new chromophore will be formed, and which will have a new absorption band which will be more intense and will be at the longer wavelength, that is lambda max value will be increased. Then another term which is very much used is oxochrome. Oxochrome is also a saturated group, that is there is no unsaturation. The exochrome is somewhat different from the chromophore. In chromophore unsaturation is must, but in oxochrome it will be a saturated group with non-bonding electrons. Non-bonding electrons means it is having one heteroatom also, as we have discussed earlier that heteroatoms are oxygen, nitrogen and halogens. So the saturated group with non-bonding electrons, and this oxochrome can be attached to a chromophore, and because of this attachment of oxochrome, the value of wavelength of the chromophore changes. So a oxochrome alters both the wavelength as well as the intensity of the absorption and the color of the molecule. Many times we observe that as we insert a oxochrome in a chromophore, the color gets intense. So oxochrome will enhance or increase the color. So the color of the molecule may be intensified because of the presence of oxochrome. These groups generally do not absorb significantly in the visible region or the UV visible region, but because of the presence, these affects the spectra of the chromophore to which it is attached. The most important oxochromic groups are hydroxyl group, OH group, then NH2 group, NR2 group, SH, then methyl group, nitro group. These all are called as oxochrome. That is, they will enhance the color, or they will increase or decrease the wavelength, and these do not have any particular lambda max value for a particular auxochrome, and their properties are can be acidic or basic. Now we will the actual effect of an auxochrome on the chromophore depends upon the polarity of the auxochrome. Example, this methyl, this ethyl, and this chloro group will have a very little effect, and there will be a very small redshift. Redshift means increase in wavelength, and the redshift will be of 5 to 10 nanometer. Other groups such as amine and nitro group are very popular and completely alter the spectra of the chromophore. Then the third term which is very much used is bathochromic shift. Bathochromic shift means the displacement of the or of an absorption maximum, that is lambda max, towards the longer wavelength, and that means it is also called as blue to red, and it is also called as red shift. So red shift or both bathochromic shift is one and the same thing, and in bathochromic or red shift the only changes take place is the lambda max is increased, and it will move from red to blue to red. The reciprocal of this hypsochromic shift is that is there will be a decrease in wavelength, है ना? The wavelength will decrease by some value, and it is called as blue shift, and the absorption maximum from red to ultraviolet, that is towards the shorter wavelength, is called as hypsochromic shift. Now, as we know that auxochrome and chromophore can also change in intensity. So, because of this auxochrome or chromophore, if there is a decrease in absorption intensity, then it is called as hypochromic shift. And if there is an increase in absorption intensity, then it is called as hyperchromic shift. All these shift, bathochromic shift, hypsochromic shift, hypochromic shift, and hyperchromic shift, all these are shown in this diagram. This diagram suggests that if there is an increase in wavelength, that is red shift, then it is called as bathochromic shift. If there is a decrease in here in y-axis, we are having a absorption value. Then if there is a shift in lower wavelength side, then it is called as hypsochromic shift. And this is the intensity. If the intensity is increased intensity, Emax is intensity, and if the intensity is increased, then it is called as hyperchromic shift, and if the intensity is decreased, then it is called as hypochromic. So hyper and hypo means low and hyper means high. So these four types of changes take place because of the insertion of lambda max, these auxochromes, and the basic principle of UV visible spectroscopy depends upon Beer-Lambert law. What is Beer-Lambert law? And it is a very important law, and this UV visible spectroscopy is based upon these. It is made up of two laws, Lambert law and Beer law. Lambert law deals with the this path length, that is cell length, and the Beer law is mainly related to the concentration. So what is Beer-Lambert law? It states that the concentration of the substance in solution is directly proportional to the absorbance of the solution. Absorbance is also called as optical density. So optical density and absorbance is one and the same thing. Absorbance or optical density is equal to one constant that is called as epsilon E. This is and concentration C, and path length is cell length, or the breadth of this sample cell we have taken. So A is equal to ECL. This is Beer-Lambert law, and this law is only true for monochromatic light. What do you mean by monochromatic light? Mono means one and chromo means color. So light of single color or single wavelength is called as monochromatic light. And this monochromatic light should be such that physical or chemical state of the substance does not changes with the concentration. When a parallel beam, so now we are going through the definition of Beer-Lambert law. This definition is when a parallel beam of monochromatic light is incident perpendicularly through a homogeneous solution in a sample cell, then the decrease in the intensity of the emitted light is directly proportional to the thickness and the concentration of the solution. So, both Beer and Lambert law are combined in this definition. In other words, we can say the decrease in the intensity of the emitted light is directly proportional to the number of molecules present in the path of the incident light. Here, I0 is the intensity of the incident light and I is the intensity of the transmitted light. So, there will be a decrease in intensity of the transmitted light because the solution present in the sample cell will absorb some amount of incident light. So, there will be a decrease in the intensity of the light. The ratio I upon I0 is also called as transmittance, and transmittance is reciprocal of absorbance. So, reciprocal of absorbance is called as transmittance. This is sometimes expressed as percentage also, and it is referred as percentage transmittance. Mathematically, absorbance is related to percentage transmittance and it is shown in this particular formula. A equal to log base to the power 10 I0 upon I. It will be equal to log base to the power 10 100 upon T or equal to ECL. Now, length L is the path length, that is the breadth of the sample cell. C is the concentration, and E is the extinction coefficient. E is the extinction coefficient, and it uh, constant and depends only on the nature of the molecule and the wavelength of the radiation. So, extinction coefficient, it can be defined as if the concentration is taken 1 gram per mole and the path length is 1 centimeter, then the absorbance is equal to this extinction coefficient. So, extinction coefficient is very important term, and now we will study about the effect of solvents on the electronic transitions. So, this solvent which are used affects the absorption spectrum, and when diluted in a solvent will vary depending upon the chemical structure involved. Generally speaking, non-polar solvents and non-polar molecules show the least effect. So, the solvent will not affect the non-polar and non-polar molecules. However, polar molecules exhibit quite dramatic differences when react with polar solvent. So, there will, if we are making use of polar solvent and the sample is also containing polar molecules, there will be a change in lambda max. So, the effect of solvent is on the polar molecules and polar solvents. Interaction between solute and solvent leads to absorption band broadening. So, the band will get broader and consequent reduction in the structural resolution and Emax. So, Emax will also decrease, and ionic forms may also be created in acidic or basic conditions. Thus, care must be taken to avoid an interaction between solute and the solvent. So, we will discuss in another lecture about this. I am just giving you a note that solvent also affects the electronic transition, and when we will take the examples, we will discuss this in detail. So, this is about the various terms which we are making use in spectroscopy. We had started with chromophore, oxochrome, then we had gone through the this bathochromic shift, hypsochromic shift, hypochromic and hyperchromic shift, which will be, and then we had discussed about the basic law of UV visual spectroscopy, which is Beer-Lambert law. So, now in the next lecture we will discuss about the Woodward-Fisher rules, and which will be very important because several numericals come upon this topic. So, goodbye for this lecture. Thank you.